Dreamchaser's fatal flaw just left NASA engineers speechless. After 6 years of development, SpaceX Dragon has 19 perfect crew flights. Dreamchaser? Still grounded with 0 missions. But the real shocker isn't the delays. It's the one critical problem that makes it impossible to compete with Dragon, even if everything else gets fixed. This single flaw could end the entire program, and most people have no idea it exists. What is this program-killing secret? Let's dive right in. So what is this program-killing secret that has NASA engineers losing sleep? It's not a technical failure. It's not budget cuts. It's something far more devastating. Dreamchaser has become a relic from another era before it even flies. Here's the timeline that will shock you. When Dreamchaser started development in 2011, SpaceX Dragon was just a drawing on paper. Both companies were racing to replace the space shuttle. Sierra Space chose elegance and perfection. SpaceX chose speed and iteration. The result? By the time you finish watching this video, SpaceX Dragon will have completed more missions than Dreamchaser has even attempted test flights. Let me show you exactly how brutal this comparison has become. SpaceX Dragon, 50+ successful missions. Dreamchaser, 0 missions. Not one. But here's where it gets absolutely devastating. NASA pays SpaceX $55 million per Dragon crew seat. Sierra Space's projected cost for Dreamchaser crew missions? Over $90 million per seat. That's 64% more expensive for a spacecraft that has never proven it can actually reach space. Think about that for a moment. You're NASA. You have 2 options: the proven, cheaper solution that flies regularly, or the expensive, unproven alternative that might work someday. Which would you choose? This isn't just about money, it's about survival. And Dreamchaser's losing badly. But here's where Dreamchaser's problems become truly catastrophic. The software controlling this spacecraft, every system that keeps cargo safe, every navigation command, every safety protocol, remains uncertified by NASA. Dana Weigel, NASA's ISS program manager, recently admitted Sierra Space still has important safety reviews to complete along with software certification. In space terms, that's like saying your car looks beautiful, but you haven't tested whether the brakes actually work. Would you drive that car on a highway? Would you trust your life to it? Boeing's Starliner faced identical software issues. Remember what happened. Multiple delays, failed test flights, and billions of dollars wasted. Dreamchaser is following the exact same playbook, but starting years later when the market has already moved on. Even if Sierra Space fixes their software tomorrow, they face an even deadlier problem. Dreamchaser can only fly on United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur rocket. Just one rocket. One company. One massive point of failure. Vulcan itself has serious problems. Earlier this year, a military launch got delayed due to Vulcan's development issues. Here's the kicker. When national security missions need that rocket, everything else waits. Commercial missions like Dreamchaser get pushed to the back of the line. SpaceX doesn't have this problem. They own their rockets. They control their destiny. They fly when they want to fly. This creates a death spiral. The longer Dreamchaser waits for Vulcan, the more missions Dragon completes. The more missions Dragon completes, the more NASA trusts SpaceX. The more NASA trusts SpaceX, the less they need Dreamchaser. Here's what makes this situation absolutely desperate. The International Space Station retires around 2031. That gives Dreamchaser roughly 6 years to prove itself, catch up to Dragon's decade-long head start, and justify its existence. But look at SpaceX's acceleration. They're not standing still waiting for competition. Dragon just completed its 6th reuse mission, twice its original design limit. They're already testing Starship for lunar missions. By the time Dreamchaser finally flies, Dragon might be obsolete, replaced by something even more advanced. Meanwhile, every month Dreamchaser sits in storage costs, Sierra Space millions in maintenance, updates, and engineering modifications. How long can they burn cash with 0 revenue? Here's a timeline that will make your jaw drop. Dragon launched its first cargo mission in 2012. By 2020, it was regularly carrying NASA astronauts, 8 years from debut to crewed operations. Dreamchaser started development around the same time as Dragon. It's now 2025. and they haven't completed their first cargo mission. If they follow Dragon's 8-year timeline, crewed flights won't happen until 2033, 2 years after ISS shuts down. Do you see the impossible math? By the time Dreamchaser is ready to carry people, there might be nowhere to take them. Sierra Space constantly promotes Dreamchaser's unique advantages: runway landings, quick cargo access, elegant design, reusability. But here's the brutal reality check. None of these advantages matter if you can't reach space reliably and affordably. Dragon splashes down in the ocean, sure, but it works. It flies on schedule. It costs 40% less. It's proven through 50-plus missions. In the unforgiving world of spaceflight, proven reliability beats elegant design every single time. NASA learned this harsh lesson with the Space Shuttle: beautiful, inspiring, revolutionary, but ultimately too complex and expensive to sustain. Dreamchaser risks making the exact same fatal mistake. Boeing's Starliner offers a terrifying preview of Dreamchaser's future. Both spacecraft were designed to challenge SpaceX's dominance. Both faced endless delays and software problems. Both struggled with safety certifications and cost overruns. Starliner finally flew its first crewed mission in 2024, but only after SpaceX had already completed 19 successful crew flights. Boeing spent over $4 billion to arrive at a party that was already over. They became an expensive backup option for a market SpaceX had already conquered. Dreamchaser is following the identical script, just several years behind. The question isn't whether they can eventually fly, it's whether anyone will still care when they do. So here's Dreamchaser's true fatal flaw, the secret that's shocking NASA engineers. It's not technical failure, it's not funding problems, it's not even the software issues or rocket dependencies. The fatal flaw is timing. Dreamchaser spent so long pursuing perfection that the market evolved beyond them. While Sierra Space was perfecting their beautiful spaceplane design, SpaceX was flying real missions, learning from real problems, and building real trust with NASA. The space industry doesn't reward the most elegant solution or the most innovative concept. It rewards what delivers results, what flies, what works, what keeps promises. Dreamchaser made promises. SpaceX delivered results. This explains why NASA's public support for Dreamchaser sounds increasingly hollow. They still say positive things because they need backup options for public relations. But their spending tells the real story. NASA keeps awarding more contracts to SpaceX. They're planning Dragon's role in future lunar missions. They're even using Dragon for ISS deorbit operations. Where exactly does Dreamchaser fit into these long-term plans? NASA's refusal to give firm timelines speaks volumes. When they believed in Dreamchaser's potential, they provided clear dates and concrete expectations. Now they offer vague statements about when Sierra delivers and reviews still needed. That's not confidence talking. That's damage control. Dreamchaser now faces a brutal mathematical reality. Every month they delay, SpaceX completes more missions. Every software bug they fix, Dragon sets new reliability records. Every year they wait, the entire industry becomes more convinced that SpaceX is the only viable option. There's a critical point in every competitive race where being late becomes being irrelevant. Dreamchaser is dancing dangerously close to that point. They may have already crossed it. But here's the most shocking part. This catastrophe was completely preventable. Sierra Space had the same starting opportunities as SpaceX, similar resources, similar goals, similar government support. The difference was philosophy. SpaceX chose rapid iteration over perfect design, real-world testing over laboratory perfection. Now one company dominates human spaceflight while the other struggles to complete a single mission. That's not bad luck or unfair competition. That's the predictable consequence of strategic decisions that compound over years into industry-defining advantages. When you see Dreamchaser's beautiful design and read about its innovative features, remember this harsh truth. In the brutal world of spaceflight, what matters isn't how impressive your technology looks in presentations. What matters is whether it can perform the most basic function, getting off the ground. After more than a decade of development and billions in investment, Dreamchaser still can't do that fundamental thing. Meanwhile, SpaceX Dragon has become so reliable that NASA trusts it with their most critical missions. That's not just a competitive disadvantage. In an industry where reliability is everything and second place means irrelevance, that's a fatal flaw that may have already decided Dreamchaser's fate. So there you have it. Dreamchaser's fatal flaw isn't broken hardware or failed software. It's the harsh reality that in space, timing beats perfection every single time. While Sierra Space chased the perfect design, SpaceX captured the market. This story isn't just about one spacecraft. It's about how entire industries can shift while you're not paying attention. SpaceX didn't just build better rockets. They changed the rules of the game completely. But here's what makes this even more interesting. Dreamchaser's story is still being written. Will they find a way to matter in a SpaceX-dominated world? Can any company break through when one player controls almost everything? And here's the bigger question that should keep every space company awake at night. If SpaceX can make Dreamchaser irrelevant before it even flies, what does that mean for everyone else trying to compete? The space race isn't slowing down. New players are entering, new technologies are emerging, and the stakes keep getting higher. Who's going to challenge SpaceX next? Who's going to learn from Dreamchaser's mistakes? What do you think? Is Dreamchaser's story over, or can they still find a way to matter? Drop your thoughts below. I read every single comment and love hearing your perspectives on these space industry battles. Thanks for watching Space Core. Until next time, keep looking up. Elon Musk just revealed something so insane about Flight 10 that SpaceX engineers are calling it impossible. Yet they're doing it anyway on August 24th. Picture this. A 400-foot rocket will flip completely upside down in space, then fire 33 engines while inverted. One wrong move, $3 billion explosion. But here's what really shocked engineers. Musk is deliberately breaking the rocket on purpose to test something that could get us to Mars in half the time. What is he planning that's so crazy even rocket scientists think he's lost his mind? Let's dive right in. So what exactly is this impossible maneuver that has rocket engineers calling Musk crazy? Here's what's happening on August 24th that defies everything we thought we knew about rockets. Picture this. A 400-foot tall, super heavy booster that's taller than the Statue of Liberty will separate from Starship at 3,000 miles per hour. Then it does something that should be physically impossible. It flips completely upside down while 33 Raptor engines coordinate a perfect backflip maneuver. But here's the part that shocked engineers. This flip actually uses 40% less fuel than traditional methods. How is that even possible? Traditional rockets fight gravity the entire way down, burning massive amounts of propellant. Musk's upside-down approach flips this concept, literally. By inverting the booster, it uses gravity as an ally, then fires engines in the opposite direction for maximum deceleration efficiency. Think of it like the difference between stopping a speeding car by riding the brakes versus doing a controlled drift to bleed off speed. The physics actually work, but one wrong calculation and you get a $3 billion fireball. This fuel savings translates to something game-changing, 20 to 30 tons of additional payload capacity. That's equivalent to carrying an entire school bus worth of extra cargo to space on every single flight. But Musk isn't stopping there. He's planning something even more dangerous. Mid-flight, SpaceX will deliberately sabotage their own rocket. They're shutting off one of the 3 main landing engines on purpose. Why would they intentionally cripple a billion-dollar spacecraft? Because they're testing something that could mean the difference between life and death on Mars. If backup engines from the middle ring can instantly take over when a primary engine fails, Starship becomes virtually indestructible. Multiple engine failures, still landing safely. This isn't just about reliability. It's about survival 140 million miles from Earth. When you're on Mars, there's no rescue mission, no backup plan, no second chances. The rocket either works perfectly or the crew dies. Period. SpaceX learned this lesson the hard way during Flight 9, when a $100 component called a pressurization system diffuser destroyed a $3 billion spacecraft. On Mars, that kind of failure means everyone aboard is dead. But that's not even the craziest part of Flight 10. SpaceX is dropping 8 Starlink simulators during this flight. These aren't real satellites. They're practice dummies designed to burn up on re-entry. So why practice with fakes? Because Musk is preparing for something massive that could change the world overnight. Each simulator weighs exactly the same as a real Starlink satellite and follows identical deployment sequences. Current Falcon 9 rockets can only carry 23 satellites per launch. But if this test succeeds, a single Starship could deploy 400 satellites in one mission. That's a 17x improvement. We're talking about blanketing the entire planet with high-speed internet in just 10 launches instead of 170. The economic impact is staggering. SpaceX currently spends $67 million per Falcon 9 launch. With Starship, that cost drops to an estimated $2 million per launch, a 97% cost reduction that could make satellite internet cheaper than your current broadband. But there's an even bigger secret hidden in this mission that nobody's talking about. Buried in the technical details is perhaps the most important test of all. SpaceX will restart a Raptor engine in the vacuum of space after it's been sitting dormant. This might sound routine, but it's actually the key to becoming a multiplanetary species. Mars missions require multiple precise engine burns over months-long journeys. Earth to Mars isn't a straight shot. It's a complex orbital dance requiring exact timing. Miss one burn by even a few seconds, and you're floating in space forever. No rocket engine has ever been designed to reliably restart after months in the extreme cold of space. Fuel freezes, seals crack, components fail. But if Musk cracks this code, Mars becomes achievable. The test is deceptively simple. Fire the engine, shut it down, let it sit in space for an hour, then restart it. If it works, we're one giant leap closer to becoming a multiplanetary species.